Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a little cloud named Nimbus, who lived in a big, fluffy grey sky. It was a very boring sky, just grey and white and not a single colour. And Nimbus wanted to change that. One day, Nimbus was drifting lazily through the sky when he saw something magical. A bright yellow butterfly was flitting from flower to flower in a nearby field, leaving a trail of shimmering gold dust in its wake. The little cloud was mesmerized by the sight, and suddenly an idea popped into his head. Why not collect all the beautiful colors from the world below and paint the sky with them? So that's exactly what Nimbus set out to do. He floated down to the field where the golden butterflies were playing and asked them for some of their shimmering gold dust so he could paint the sky with it. But the butterflies were very shy, and they all flew away before Nimbus could get any. Dejected, the little cloud continued on his way, wondering if he'd ever be able to collect enough colors to make his dream a reality. As he drifted along, he noticed a sparkling blue river and thought maybe, just maybe, he could use some of the water to paint the sky blue. But when he got closer, he realized that the river wasn't blue at all. It was just reflecting the blue sky above. Discouraged, Nimbus decided to try again somewhere else. He soon came across a tall waterfall cascading down a sheer rock face. Surely this time he would have better luck. But when Nimbus reached the waterfall, he found that the water was just as uncooperative as the river. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't collect any of the sparkling water to paint the sky. Just when Nimbus was about to give up on his dream, he heard a tiny voice say, "Why don't you ask me?" Startled, the little cloud turned around and saw a small sunbeam peeking out from behind a blade of grass. "You can help me paint the sky, can you?" asked Nimbus. And the little sunbeam replied, "Of course. I've been waiting for someone to ask me." And with that, the little sunbeam led Nimbus to a magical place called the Rainbow Valley. The entire valley was filled with all the colors of the rainbow, and it was even said that the air itself tasted sweet with flavor. Excited, Nimbus began collecting all the colors he could find, filling his cloud with shades of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. But no matter how many colors he collected, Nimbus knew that if he simply scattered them across the sky, they would just fade away. He needed something more, something to hold the colors in place and make them shine. Just then, the little sunbeam had an idea. "Why don't you ask the Raindrop King? He lives over in the Sunset Mountains, and he's always looking for new and exciting things to do." So off Nimbus went to the Sunset Mountains. The mountains were tall and grand, and Nimbus could feel the sun's warm rays on his back as he floated towards the peak. At the very top of the mountain lived the Raindrop King, and Nimbus hoped that he would be able to help him with his sky painting project. When Nimbus finally reached the Raindrop King's castle, he knocked on the door with a tiny raindrop. But instead of opening the door, a gruff voice called out, "Who's there?" "It's me," said Nimbus. "I'm here to ask you for some of your sparkling water to paint the sky." "No," said the Raindrop King. "I need all my water for my plants and flowers. They need me to keep them alive." "But the sky is so boring without any color," said Nimbus. "Can't you just spare a few drops?" "No," said the Raindrop King. "I need all my water for my plants and flowers." And with that, he closed the door. Dejected, Nimbus started to float away. He couldn't believe that the Raindrop King wouldn't help him. Just then, he heard a voice say, "What's the matter?" Startled, Nimbus turned around and saw a beautiful blue jay perched on a nearby rock. "I'm trying to paint the sky with all the beautiful colors I can find," said Nimbus, "but I can't seem to get any." "Why don't you ask me?" chirped the blue jay. "You can help me paint the sky, can you?" asked Nimbus. And the blue jay replied, "Of course, I've been waiting for someone to ask me, And with that, the Blue Jay led Nimbus to a magical place called the Aurora Forest. The entire forest sparkled with all the colors of the rainbow, and Nimbus felt a surge of excitement as he began collecting all the colors he could find. He gathered petals from bright red roses, goldenrod, sunflowers, deep bluebells, and even some tiny purple violets. But once again, Nimbus knew that if he simply scattered the colors across the sky, they would just fade away. He needed something more, something to hold the colors in place and make them shine. Just then, the Blue Jay had an idea. "Why don't you ask the Moonbeam Queen? She lives over in the Whispering Woods, and she's always looking for ways to add beauty to the night sky." So off Nimbus went to the Whispering Woods. The woods were dark and mysterious, but Nimbus didn't feel scared. He knew that the Moonbeam Queen would help him. When Nimbus finally reached the Moonbeam Queen's castle, he knocked on the door with a tiny moonbeam. But instead of opening the door, a gentle voice called out, "Who's there?" "It's me," said Nimbus. "I'm here to ask you for some of your sparkling moonbeams to paint the sky." "Oh, what a wonderful idea," said the Moonbeam Queen. "Of course you may have some of my moonbeams. I've been wanting to add some color to the sky for ages." And with that, the Moonbeam Queen opened the door and beckoned for Nimbus to come inside. She showed him to a room filled with all sorts of magical paints and brushes. "Here, take this," she said, handing him a large paintbrush. "It's made from the finest spider silk and will hold all the colors you need." Overjoyed, Nimbus dipped the brush into the paint and began to paint the sky. At first, the colors were a bit dull, but then he remembered what the Moonbeam Queen had told him. To make the colors really pop, he needed to add a little bit of moonlight. So he dipped his brush into a nearby jar of moonbeams and swirled it around until the colors were bright and vibrant. When Nimbus finished painting, he looked up at the sky and gasped in amazement. It was the most beautiful sunset he had ever seen. All the colors were perfectly blended, and the sky was filled with life and magic. Nimbus knew that he had accomplished his dream, and he couldn't wait to share it with the world. He floated down to the earth and looked out over the land below. Everywhere he looked, he saw signs of the day's end. The sun was setting over the horizon, and the stars were beginning to appear in the sky. Nimbus took a deep breath and let out a loud, "Ha ha ha, ho!" He was so happy with his work that he couldn't contain himself. The sound echoed across the land, and soon animals from all over the forest came running to see what all the commotion was about. They had never seen the sky so colorful and beautiful, and they were just as amazed as Nimbus was. From that day on, Nimbus the Cloud became known as the painter of the sky, and every night he would paint a new and exciting picture for the world to enjoy. He learned that with a little creativity and imagination, anything is possible. And you, my friend, have just as much imagination and creativity inside you as Nimbus the Cloud. So never be afraid to let your mind wander and explore all the possibilities that are out there. Who knows what amazing things you might accomplish? The end.